Welcome to episode 16 of the Mile 20 podcast where epic shit happens. I'm Lori and I'm here with my bestie Laura.
Hello, lovey.
Hello. We are two best friends that went on a journey around the 50 states running marathons in our special little way that we did it, trying to really savor the journey. So we want to thank everybody who's been joining us. Today, we kind of have a little bit of a special episode in that we're fresh off of the Broad Street Run, which is
finally a race that we have done. We haven't raced in about a year and a half.
No, and I really have to thank Laura for her patience, because at the end of our running the 50 states back in December of 2023, I told her my youngest is a senior in high school. And I really we traveled a lot between 2021 and 2023 to finish in 2023. And I kind of had promised my youngest that I would be very present for her senior year of high school before she goes off to college. And that's what on the tail end of it, because she graduates in June. And I think we got a taste yesterday.
Oh, we got a taste. We were done with the 10 milers, with the 10 miles, and we were still ready to go for another 16.
I was warmed up at that point. I'm like, all right, let's go.
We didn't turn the music off, and it's yeah, okay. We were definitely ready to go some more.
Yeah, absolutely. So today we will be discussing a red wine.
Red wine. I don't do that song justice.
No. Baby wipes.
Mm-hmm. That was so handy.
Yeah. And a newbie. Our beverage of the week. We'll kind of skip that and just say that was yesterday we did the beverage of the week. So we will be discussing what we drank yesterday. We're drinking water today.
Yeah.
Because we are in full recovery mode. Our Epic Week update is, I think, almost essentially our episode.
Yes.
With Broad Street. I think we maybe have a few little things that we could maybe weave in there a little bit, but and then we'll get into running the Broad Street Run. And then for next week, we will be episode 17. We will be talking about the Baltimore Marathon.
Yes, in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yes. So check us out on our socials. Everything at Mile 20 Podcast. We've got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. All of it. There are links to every place where you can listen to us. And we want to thank everybody who's constantly there for us, because we love you guys. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. All right. So yesterday, I guess a couple episodes ago, you had pitched out there that we were going to do a practice run during the Broad Street Run.
Yes.
The Broad Street 10 miler for the Marathon du Medoc.
Yes.
So for those of you who did not hear that episode, the Marathon du Medoc is in Bordeaux, France, and they have beverage stops, with 23 of them, where they serve both red and white wine.
Water and Gatorade as well.
And red and white wine at every stop.
Yes.
So Lori had pitched out, because yesterday was also my birthday, so 54 years old.
Whoop, whoop. Happy birthday.
Thank you. And Lori said, in the spirit of training, I'm going to do my air quotes, training for Marathon du Medoc, let's get a bottle of wine and we will go in to have, just kind of practice and have wine at every stop.
And then
in Broad Street.
And so in our normal crazy yin-yang fashion, I throw out the crazy idea, and then Laura goes, oh, yes. And then I sow the seeds, and then she waters it and puts sun on it, and then it just grows.
And this is how we work together.
Yes. So, I pitched the bottle, the backpack, and she's like, oh, I found these cute little goblets that we can drink from,
And then
every
my sister
mile.
gave me a bottle of wine at Easter a couple of weeks ago that the name of it was Do Epic Shit. Shit. It was called Do Epic Shit Wine from Brown's Winery.
Thank you, Megan.
Yes, thank you, Megan. Thank you, Sissy.
It was wonderful.
Yes, it was an excellent bottle of red wine, and so it just made that much more special during the day. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So we are drinking water today because we did drink some wine yesterday.
But in fairness, I want to do that again because we usually wait till mile 20. So like if you get kind of like clumsy legs or it's really hard to recover from where you've had a little bit of beverage, like if you start to slow down, there's only 6 more miles. But if we're starting that early in a race of 26.2 miles, I was very glad for 10 miles to know what that little bit of a sip every mile felt like moving forward.
Yes, and it was just a little shot glass. But I think
it was a full shot.
It was a full shot.
She was filling them to the top.
I was filling them to the top. But I think when we finished the race, we maybe had a little less than a quarter of the bottle left. So, kind of like doing running wine drinking math with our little glasses. So we drank just shy of like 2 glasses of wine each during the Broad Street run.
Yeah. And my brain feels like it today. I'm extremely slow.
Yeah.
Not a lot of thoughts going up on the head
and
today.
being that we've experimented with our mile 20 beverages throughout the years, and there have been a myriad of different things. We have never consumed red wine during a race, and there's probably a reason why we haven't done that. Now the wine, it was a fantastic wine.
Oh, it was delicious.
Definitely would recommend it to folks.
It was a lovely dry
wine. Red wine,
which I love. It's my favorite wine.
But not while running.
But I felt like at mile 4, maybe.
I'm the crypt keeper in my mouth.
I'm like, I cannot drink enough water right now because this is so dry.
Yes.
Which I love in a red wine. But I think it's just a little harder. It's not an exercise cocktail.
Oh,
which
that's
I don't even know if that should be a genre of drink.
That shouldn't even be in the same sentence.
No.
Wait, I have to share. It was really funny. I was scrolling through social media today, and somebody had posted a picture of a guy. I think it was either after or before the Pittsburgh Marathon, because that happened last weekend. And so there was a guy who had a cup of coffee. So it was probably before. Had a cup of coffee and he was smoking a cigarette with a bib on.
Oh my god!
And he was walking down the street, and he was kind of getting like social shamed, on social media. And I was like, oh God, I wonder what people like think when we because I kept taking the bottle of wine out of your backpack.
Yes.
And like making a big to do about it. In fact, at some point in time, you want to share we'll just jump ahead. You want to share the funny story with the cops and the firemen?
So at mile 4 and 5, which again, I'm going to go back. When we were talking about when we ran in Delaware and you were talking about how nervous you are to be in front of the cops.
Totally nervous. Like I thought we were going to get arrested.
I'm almost certain it was mile 5. There were just a bunch of cops around the mile 5 marker. And we were trying to do it at every marker. We wanted the marker.
Because you got to get the picture with the video, with the marker.
So we did it every mile.
Right.
And there was also, there was a lot of emergency vehicles, cops, and I guess some firefighters. I didn't notice the firefighters at first. I was just noticing the cops.
Because there were a lot of them.
And Laura's like, screw it. We're doing this. It's just whatever.
Out.
So she took the bottle out, whatever. We fill them up. And we were getting it into a routine where we were transitioning a lot faster.
We had a pattern going on.
Yeah, we did. And so we turn around, we do our little video, we drink our shot of wine, and then I turn around because she's putting the bottle back in my backpack, and there's a fireman that gets out of the fire engine, and there's 2 others behind the wheel in the front seat, and they're like, "Yes, ladies, yes!" And they're all applauding us, and they're like, "That's how you do Broad Street." And I'm like, "Okay, so this is okay."
I was like, "I don't think we're gonna get in trouble, Lori. I think we're okay."
Yeah, I was really nervous that they were gonna be like, "Ladies, you can't have that bottle on the course." But I guess they're not there to enforce the rules. They're just trying to make sure everybody's safe. Thank you for that.
And then I think at mile 8, we had another police encounter where there was a police vehicle that at first we thought it was like the chaser mobile, which didn't make sense because we weren't even anywhere really near there close to the back.
No.
But these guys were like, no, we're not the chaser vehicle. But as we were doing our mile 8 wine shot, got a little bit of a close up of the police vehicle, driving by us and so forth. So we had fun with it.
We did.
It was a good time. So brilliant idea. glad that we went and kind of pulled it all together.
Yes.
And I think
it worked out.
Yeah. And there were people on the course. There was one lady who had followed us like throughout the entire race. And at some point in time, she caught up with us and she was like, oh my God, you girls are having an absolute freaking blast.
And we're like, yes, of course we are. I do start to feel a little bad with the people that are really struggling when we're like partying our way all the way down. But at the same time, when you've ran 62 marathons, like 10 miles, the perspective on 10 miles
it's
changes.
very different. It's very different. For us, it's a training run.
Yeah.
You know,
and a short one at that.
Right.
Because normal short training runs are 12 miles.
12 milers. Yeah. But yeah, so it was a lot of fun going and drinking wine at every mile. And I wore a little birthday tiara that said birthday girl on it. And
she got all kinds of attention.
Oh my gosh, all kinds of attention. So thank you to everybody who wished me a happy birthday on the course. I think the greatest one was the gentleman that was standing in the median of the road, and he was like giving me a whoop whoop, and
yes,
he was shouting it for a while, like happy birthday. So that just it just makes you feel a little special, you know, when you wake up at 3:45 a.m. in the morning on your birthday, and you're like, I'm gonna go run.
Yes, start drinking wine at 8:30.
It was 8:30.
Yeah,
it was 8:30, but it was 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yes, it is. Of course.
Yeah. So, all right. So why did we get sucked into the Broad Street vortex? Because we've run it a couple times, but like, why did we get sucked in?
So Maggie is choosing to be off camera today, but she is mic'd up so that she can chirp in because we weren't the only two runners on the course yesterday.
Yeah. So Maggie, how did we all get sucked into running Broad Street?
Well, I had never run it before, so I really wanted to run it. And knowing we have at least 3 marathons coming up in the fall, I thought it would be a good way to get started.
Wait. At least? So are you contemplating adding one?
I don't know. I feel like we're all easily susceptible to peer pressure.
Yes.
And we'll already be trained up. So yeah, I peer pressured everyone to put in the bibs for Broad Street.
Which is a lottery. So
it's a lottery.
Yeah.
And I was not chosen. Laura and my boyfriend Connor got chosen for the bibs, and me and Mom had to end up fundraising. So I fundraised for Fairmont Park Conservancy, which supports one of the big parks in Philly. And so I was able to raise $605.
You go, girl.
So thanks to everyone who donated for that. So I was able to secure a bib. And Mom donated for?
Yes, I did. I got a bib through the American Cancer Society determination. I ran in honor of my stepdad, who passed away from cancer in 2017, which if you've listened to previous episodes, we talked about that during that time frame. And I raised the minimum $500. I did not go over my $500, but you
raised $500.
Yeah, I did.
Laura. That's not nothing.
Yes, and thank you, Laura. Laura helped me fundraise.
You're welcome.
Thank you to everybody else who helped me fundraise. I appreciate the contributions. And I always feel like the American Cancer Society is such a worthy cause. So if you ever think about donating to them, don't hesitate. Please do.
Now, Maggie, the cool thing, because you just mentioned that Connor got a bib for Broad Street. Connor had never officially run a 10-mile race, right? I think the longest he had run was an 8 miler, or was it an 8K?
It was a 5 miler.
It was a 5 miler, so it was an 8K.
8K.
Yeah. So this was a big deal that he was like
yes.
committing to this, because he was not a runner in earlier life prior to getting succumbed to peer pressure from Maggie Feckman.
Mm-hmm. Prior to like falling in love with a really cool girl.
Yes, that too.
Yes, the quote from yesterday is, "That was the greatest athletic achievement of my life."
Which is so sweet.
That is so awesome. We are so incredibly proud of Connor, and
incredibly proud
to see him go through like he kept thinking like all day long, like, okay, well, this is going to be the worst part of the day. Well, no, this is the worst part of the day. And we'll get into like a little bit of the details of just kind of what makes Broad Street fun, but also what makes it a little challenging as a race for runners. But I love it that, you know, that he just, one, that he's so proud of himself, but that, just as us, as our little, like, co-family running community, that, we were all there to go and support him. And his dad came down from Jersey as well to go and support him, which was awesome.
He's like slowly like putting his foot in the water and getting used to it.
Dip, dip, dip.
And we're like, just jump in. Just come on in. The water's fine. You're going to love it.
Definitely. And my last thing to add was, I think, the best part for me, because the two of us ran together and Mom and Laura ran together. And my stomach was hurting and I had blisters on my feet, but I wasn't trying to complain because he was having the best time. He had so much fun and he was in such good spirits the whole time. And so it was really great to run with him and see him having a lot of fun, even at mile 8 and 9 and 10.
I love it.
Running.
I love it.
So it was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
The crowd was pretty decent, despite the fact that there was some really like impending weather.
Yeah, when we were watching and monitoring all week long.
Oh, that's like the worst for before a race.
You've done how many Broad Streets?
This was my fourth Broad Street.
Fourth Broad Street. I had signed up for 2 others.
Mm-hmm.
I had ran 1 other. The second one, I can't remember what year
We
it was.
collectively bailed on it.
Yeah, because we were running all the
pouring.
marathons and doing all this stuff. I'm like, I have no reason to be out in that today.
It was cold and rainy that year, and I don't remember what year we bailed, but we both bailed. We were like, screw this. Like, this is just not worth it.
I feel like it was either 2017 or 2018.
Yeah, it was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so of the 4
Yes.
that you've ran,
yes.
How many have you had shitty weather for?
So if I count the one that we didn't run, so that's 5, it would have been 4 out of the 5 years there was precipitation.
Yeah.
4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I think that I kind of had amnesia because I just wanted to get out and race something. I just wanted to be at a start line of something, please. And it was local and we didn't have to travel for it. Yeah, I think I had amnesia.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's spring races. That's always the chance that you get because, it is normally rainy in the end of April, beginning of May here in the Philadelphia area.
All last week, we were like sunny and in the mid 70s to 80s all last week.
Every day.
And honestly, I thank God that we didn't have that yesterday because that would have been miserable because the sun peeped out a few times and we're like, whoa, you're not supposed to be sunny today.
Yeah, because they're really, when you run down Broad Street, I mean, it's a point to point. So you basically start at the only stop on the Broad Street line, which is our subway system. And so you start at the only station and you just run straight down Broad Street. No turns. I mean, it's like the Broad Street run. You're just running on Broad Street. There's not a lot. It's a very wide road.
It's 12 and a half miles long,
yes,
right?
Yes. And like, interesting fact, I read that it is the longest urban street in the United States.
Yeah, I had no idea.
That's kind of cool.
That's
right?
really cool.
That's really cool. But there's not a lot of trees for like tree cover, for shade. I mean, we had a little bit of shade when the sun came out from some of the buildings, but the buildings aren't like, it's not like you're running through like skyscrapers. It's more of like the residential areas, that
like
you
more
run
like
through.
3-story
3-story buildings.
4-story buildings.
Correct. So, but we lucked out, didn't we?
Oh yeah, we lucked out. I don't know how we thread the needle. I think it was up to like 77% chance of rain, even in the morning. And I think it was supposed to start at like 8 a.m. And I think we got like a little bit of drizzle, maybe around 8:39.
A little tiny bit.
But and we're like, oh gosh, here we go. And then nothing.
It stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know why? It was because it was my birthday and I manifested that.
Yes.
I kept saying, like, it just cannot rain today. I'm not going to let it rain today. Don't let it rain today.
It can rain all this week. It's been raining today. Yep. I don't care.
Yep. It didn't rain. So I was very, 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 very happy about that.
Prayers answered.
Prayers were answered. And so the temperature as well, it was, maybe like 65 when we started, maybe 68 to 70 when we finished, but it was muggy.
It was heavy.
It was very, very muggy because of just all the moisture in the air. So, just one thing to think about if you're running a race and you come up against, oh, wow, like it's going to rain. we had some preparation,
Yes.
for ourselves, where we both have invested in some really nice, like
Rain jackets.
rain jackets.
Yeah, they have in the
Waterproof.
Yeah, they're waterproof, but they also, especially if you're running, you can find them where they have zippers in the armpits
For venting.
Yeah, to kind of let your body vent and to keep the moisture from sweating building up inside the rain jacket. So that's a really nice perk.
Yeah, and the other thing, so as a woman with longer hair, the one thing that I always do when I see like any kind of precipitation in a race forecast is I will braid my hair and I will put it in a bun.
Yeah.
Because, when your hair gets wet and then you're running, man, you can get like some dreadlocks. And I know you've experienced that before.
Girl, you get no dreadlocks like I get dreadlocks.
No. I cannot compare my hair to yours because you got like the natural curls. But yeah, girl, you've gotten some nasty hair.
Yes, I bun. 100% bun, and I also don't do a visor. I wear a very, very light running baseball cap that I acquired. We were running the Little Rock, which we'll get to this episode eventually, but we were running the Little Rock marathon, and we had forecast for really bad rain that day as well.
Yes.
And so at the expo, I picked up one of their baseball caps, and now that's my rainy day hat. If we're going to be out running in it.
Yes, and I had a lightweight baseball hat on as well. And again, if you wear a visor, the top of your head's going to get wet. Now,
and it can drip down. Like
yes.
It does have the band, but it can still drip down your hairline. Whereas when you're wearing a baseball cap, it kind of absorbs or falls
and it'll
off
still
of
get
that.
it'll still get wet, but it just won't kind of pour into your face. And we've both kind of experimented with this like over the years.
Yes.
So it just helps. And then knowing that it was muggy out and we could potentially wear like these rain jackets. Normally what we would do would wear tank tops in that type of temperature, but we ended up wearing short sleeve shirts because we bought ourselves some swag,
some merch.
So that says like mile 20 with our podcast. Cause we figured, well, we ran with 40,000 people yesterday,
It's good
and we had
advertising.
our mile 20 podcast shirts on.
Yeah, so shout out to everybody who asked about our shirts
Yes,
and
yeah.
maybe looked us up and maybe joining us for the first time.
Absolutely. So,
Welcome to
hello.
our craziness.
So yeah, we're the crazy bitches that were drinking freaking wine on the course yesterday.
And partying with the obnoxiously loud music.
Yes. But so normally we would wear tank tops, but because I got us short sleeve shirts, we were wearing short sleeve shirts yesterday.
Yeah.
But the other thing that Connor had brought up was that, hey, if it's going to rain, I want to bring some dry clothes with me afterward. And we were kind of jabbing at him because we're like, oh, it's no shower happy hour. Like you have to sit in the clothes that you ran in.
Yeah.
But he was making a good call, and we all ended up going and bringing some potentially dry clothes with us.
Yeah.
So that way, if we had gotten wet, we could have changed afterwards. Also bringing, if like you're seeing like there's like, it's just going to pour the entire time that you're running the race. Highly advise to bring an extra pair of socks and put it in a Ziploc bag, and stashing that somewhere on your being, because I saw a lot of people yesterday with blisters, and that's when it wasn't. Yeah, that's when
I'm
it wasn't
looking at
even.
Maggie.
I know Maggie.
Maggie's got one.
But when your feet get really wet, and I experienced this when we ran the Marine Corps Marathon a number of years ago, you just get a different rub, on your feet and your sneakers. So bringing your dry pair of socks helps.
Unless you don't wear socks.
Or unless you don't wear socks like Lorri. And then the other thing I recommend is having a Ziploc baggie. So if you're bringing your phone.
Yes.
I had a Ziploc bag that I had just in case at the ready.
Yep.
And then also in your, like, however you're carrying your stuff with you, especially if you're going to bring extra toilet paper with you, you might want to go and put that into a Ziploc bag. And we're going to get to that in a little bit.
And that's a yes. You should bring toilet paper with you to any race.
Yes.
Start, period. You're never guaranteed to have toilet paper in those porta-johns. and you want to make sure that you're covered, right, Laura?
Yeah. So let's get into the baby wipe conversation, because this is a good one. So
We'll start way back when you were making fun of my lack of intelligence.
Yeah. So no. Let's start from the very beginning.
How far back are we going?
Starting from the very beginning.
Yes.
We had our packet pickup the day before the race.
Yeah, they did have an option for Friday.
Right.
But we chose to go down on Saturday mid-morning.
Yes. And it was at the Philly Convention Center.
Yes.
Which, for those of you who have never been to Philadelphia, it is kind of like right in the middle of, just some really, really good touristy places. The Reading Market.
Reading Terminal.
Reading Terminal Market is right across the street from the convention center.
Which is like our it's an indoor market, so you can find anything in there.
Anything.
There's meats, cheeses,
ice cream,
donuts,
pizza,
cookies,
cheesesteak, Chinese food,
soaps.
Yeah, you name it.
Yeah,
you
they
name
have
it.
everything
It's
in there.
Yeah,
and it's a tourist area. I mean, that's like people go. It's one of the things you should do if you come to Philly. Go to Reading Terminal Market.
Yeah,
100%.
Now, the one thing I will say about the packet pickup is that it was very efficient.
Yeah.
With 40,000 people ran yesterday.
Yeah.
And they got people in and out of there. We did not have to wait online.
No.
Took a couple of pictures, inside. None of us bought extra swag.
But it looked like the swag looked decent.
It did.
Like
it did. They did have
That
extra
was my
swag.
first race, and like just kind of, I didn't browse because I knew I wasn't going to buy anything, but just walk, because they always shoot you through. It doesn't matter the race. You're going to pick up your bib. You're going to go through the merch that they're going to try and sell you.
Yes.
Like the pint glasses look
they
nice.
had. They had some nice shirts that zip up shirts and so forth.
I'm burpy tonight. I'm just
Are
so
you burping?
sorry. Yeah. So if you see me making weird faces,
she's
it's
trying to hold it in and not
trying not to blast Laura with it. So
yeah.
I apologize.
Apparently there was some
Maggie's
red
probably
onion.
Gonna cut this out.
There was some red onion in there as well. After we hit the convention center, we hit one of our favorite places that we have gone to a couple of times now before races, called Prunella.
I love Prunella.
We love Prunella.
I do.
So being a a gluten-free person, they have absolutely fantastic gluten-free pizza. And I would highly recommend, I got the one that has the, it was cheeseless, but it had arugula on it with garlic and some onions and pancetta.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely spectacular. And what kind of pizza did you get? Do you remember?
I got the White Claw, but I added sweet sausage to it. So that was more like a white pizza, and it had like drizzled on the top. It said that it had basil, but it was really a pesto.
Like a pesto. That looked really awesome.
Yeah, and the sausage was delicious. Like it was. Yeah, I mouthed.
Yeah,
I chowed on that.
Yeah, I the guy was
carb loading.
The guy was our waiter was pretty funny, and he was kind of encouraging us not to order maybe as many pizzas as we did. And when he came back, like everything was gone. Every single ounce of pizza was gone. So can we talk about our waiter though for a minute?
Yeah.
What was his name? Oh, I think it was Jared, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think it was Jared.
Remember.
Yeah.
Maggie doesn't remember either.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name, but he was quite the character.
He was quite the character.
I don't even know, how did we get on this subject? Well, he knew that we were running Broad Street.
He told us that he used to run down the street.
Oh yeah.
But then he's like, but I'm sober now, but
he's
now
like,
I bike.
I'd like to run down the street naked.
Yes, and then he was talking about how he likes to bike, but now he participates in the naked ride.
Yes.
In Philadelphia, and we were like, wait, what?
Yeah. So Philadelphia has a naked bike ride.
It's usually at the end of August of every year. So if you want to see that, go see it. If not, avoid Philadelphia at the end of August.
And I always kind of forget that this goes on until it pops up on the news. And I'm always just blown away by the fact that people are naked on bikes and are comfortable with that. But I'm just not like an all out there type of person. The shocking part of this story he's telling us about him participating in the naked bike ride, because I was asking him about comfort of sitting on seats and stuff, and he's like, well, yeah, and you won't even believe it, because some people rent the city bikes and ride them naked. I'm like, oh
So we're like,
oh my gosh.
so we're
no.
like, huh. I wonder if somebody from the city will actually take like wipes and wipe down the seats. Probably not.
Oh my God. Every city bike I have seen all weekend long, I just thought about somebody's junk all over it. Oh.
Yes, just lots of sweaty
It's so
junk.
gross.
So we might have found some city bikes during the run and taken a picture with them.
Yeah,
so,
I was
so
a little
no
disturbed by
no
that.
to the tourists, or for those of you who live in the Philadelphia area, we're like, I'm just going to rent a city bike.
Yeah.
You might want to rethink that.
I encourage you because wait.
So gross.
I encourage you to rent the bike because we do have a lovely like going up and down Kelly
baby
Drive
wipe it.
along.
Baby wipe it.
Bring your just bring the sanitizer. Not baby wipe it. No, that shit needs Clorox wipes.
Yeah.
You need Clorox wipes.
Yes, I take that back.
All
I take that
over.
back. All over it.
All over it before you rent it. And then we saw during the race a girl on one of the
I know,
bikes.
we were
and
like,
oh God. Does she even know? I don't even think she knows.
So we enjoyed the Prunella as well as the conversation that we had
Yes.
because it was very, very lively.
And our Prosecco's were delicious.
Oh, the Proseccos were absolutely fantastic. Yes. Yeah, because we just had to. It's tradition. It's
tradition.
You got to have something to drink with your pizza. And then the next day, so this is where Broad Street is tricky, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to go all the way up to the start. There really isn't parking there.
It's one way.
It's one way. So people usually will go and they'll take transportation from like public transportation from where the finish line is and take the transportation up to the start.
Yeah.
But because we live maybe 45 minutes outside of where we were parking, and the race starts at 7, you have to start doing like your race math.
Backwards.
In terms of how long is it going to take me to go and get to the stadium? Then how long is it going to take me to get from like our train station all the way up to, where the start is? And then how soon do I want to get to the start and stand there, for a period of time?
We did have other options we could have done. We could have stayed in the city for a night.
Yep.
And then gotten on the Broad Street line
Which some
somewhere
people have done.
mid-city. Yep. Yeah. We could have maybe asked Dave or Jim or Connor.
To drop us off.
Not Connor. Rich.
Yeah, Rich, his dad.
To drop us off at the start and then meet us. Or do like they do, like they open up the stadiums down in South Philly that's very close to the Naval Yard for us all to park in because it can accommodate us. And then that's the very first stop.
I mean, you're talking
Of the
moving
Broad Street
40,000
line.
people
Yeah.
to a start line.
Yeah.
Right? So things can get like pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
So we opted to drive.
Yeah.
And so we met up at a congregation point and we drove down to the stadiums and then we took the SEPTA Broad Street line.
Which is free
Yes.
on the morning of the race.
And
for
they run
everybody.
extra lines. So I think they were running like every 8 minutes or so.
Yes, but they were running an express line on one track and a local
And we took the
on
local.
other
We got the
track.
local. But we were happy to be on the train and sitting. Now we got the train where it actually starts. So the train was really empty by
Yeah.
the time when it came and picked us up. We actually got seats on
Yeah.
the train, which was nice. We were on the train for about 40 plus minutes because we did take the local train. But the thing that you have to remember is that, for Lori's point, that if you stay in the city and you want to try to take the Broad Street line somewhere along the line, the train's already filled.
Yeah.
From the very beginning.
There were a lot of people left.
They got rejected.
They got rejected.
No space no more room for you.
I think some of the people in South Philly were able to kind of push and squish, but by the time you were north of City Hall, there were people left on the platform.
Yes.
And you could see the stress because I think we thought we were going to get there faster because we thought it was going to be more express, but the local, we got on about 6:10-ish.
Yes.
And we were still on the train at 6:50 and the race started at 7 a.m. We were all supposed to be in corral at 6:20. So naturally, as we're passing these people on the platforms, you can see the stress on their face.
The complete stress.
Yeah.
So just, lesson learned that if you decide to run Broad Street and you've never run it before, we highly encourage you to either get dropped off at the start line by someone because that's probably your easiest route logistically. but you need to find lovely people to wake up at the same time as you.
The ass crack before dawn.
Because I think I was up at like 3:45 a.m.
Yeah.
My alarm went off. Or you do the route that we did, where we went and parked at the stadiums, and then you take the Broad Street line from the like where the stadiums are.
Yes.
I think it's the NRG. Thank you. NRG stop. So highly encourage you to go and do that. But this year the Broad Street run also had the earlier start time at 7 a.m.
Yes.
So we got there.
And I had to pee like a racehorse.
Yep. And
I had to pee so bad.
I think
but we
you
were
said
late.
Yeah, we were late, and then we ended up waiting for a really, really long period of time. We waited for an hour before our corral started.
Now we were the very last corral because we knew we were going to have lots of shenanigans, so we knew we weren't going to be
serious about it.
Serious about time. So we wanted to be towards the back. So it was really nice because when we did get off, our corral was like right there.
Yes.
I felt like our corral was right next to where we got off at the Olney station.
Yes.
But yeah, it took a while. And I just want to do a public service announcement too, that if you have to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. Like don't
debate
wait.
Don't debate it.
I know this is like a rule that I have made to myself, but I denied.
This is rule number one.
Is it rule?
We have a lot of rule number ones.
Yeah, this is a rule number one.
Rule number one.
I said it that morning.
Yes.
I said rule number one. Never wait to go to the bathroom. And
you waited.
I did.
And I might have gotten a video of Lorri doing the pee-pee dance. She's like, I gotta go. So we because we didn't want to go and get separated, and we didn't know when our corral was actually going to go and take off.
Because I think this is now 7:15 at this point,
yes,
7:20ish,
at least,
maybe.
At least.
Yeah.
So we ended up scaling the fence.
Yeah.
And like the barricade fence, because there was a high school right next door to it, and it's the Central High School, which is up in Olney. And so we had heard that they had the bathrooms open at the high school. That was not accurate. They had over in their athletic field a ton of porta-johns. Not enough porta-johns.
Not enough.
So when
not
we
for
walked
40,000 people.
When we walked into the field, it was at least 100 people deep for each porta-john.
Yeah, it was not
insane.
Enough.
So Lorri in her desperation was like, dude, I'm ready to go behind one of the porta-johns, but there wasn't really any space.
No.
And I noticed that there was a brick wall that ran along the
so
area.
Did a lot of other
and
people.
So did a lot of other people. I'm like, hey, Lorri, that's the spot if we're going to go anywhere.
So another bonus to having the rain jacket not worn but tied around your waist is it does give you a little bit of a
shroud.
Yeah, a little bit of protection.
The pee-pee shroud.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and we don't call them our rain jackets. We call them our vodka jackets.
Yeah, we have a very strict
superstitious
rule that we do not mention the word. I'll say it now because we don't have a race come up. We don't say rain leading up to a race. Ever. So we call them vodka jackets.
It's bad luck.
There's maybe a chance of vodka, but it's never going to rain while we're out there.
Yes. So now we can officially call them our vodka pee-pee shroud jackets.
Yes.
So Lorri waited online behind some girls that were utilizing a tree so that Lorri could go and utilize the same tree to go and help shroud herself as well.
And I was so glad I did.
Yeah. And in fact, when you came off of finishing up, you were like, take a picture of me.
Yeah, Laura got a picture of me peeking around my pee-pee tree. I just feel so bad for the students of that high school because there was so much toilet paper and
that was
peeing
that was right. But you know what? I like at the end of the day, they need more porta-johns.
Yeah.
It's just a failure point. And along the entire course.
I agree with that.
I think we probably saw like maybe 12 porta-johns the entire time, that we ran, and which is wrong. It's just wrong for 40,000 people.
This is where I chime back in. I did not jump the fence, even though I did have to pee. I just broke rule number 1 and held it.
Oh, Maggie.
And around mile 2 or 3, I was like, I really, really have to go.
And you probably thought that there was some porta-johns that were going to be available.
So. Mm-hmm. And I frantically ran up to a girl cop who was barricading. Most of the gas stations were roped off, so you couldn't go to the bathroom there.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. And so there was a bunch of cops standing there, and I ran up to a woman cop, and I was like, hi, do you know where the next porta-john is? She was like, no. but you can use that bush right next to me. I was like, okay, I really have to go. I was like, have even the women been peeing behind this bush? She was like, only women pee behind this bush. Okay. And then she instructed Connor. She was like, go guard the parking lot and make sure no one comes around that corner. I'll stand here. So I peed behind a bush, like in a parking lot in Center City, Philly. And I come out and the woman is standing there, arms crossed, serious look on her face, guarding the bush for me, which was very nice because I desperately had to pee. And so I can now say I've peed on the streets of Philly.
That's so awesome,
Yeah.
man. And thank you to the female cop for going and
awesome.
keeping guard for you.
You know what? I'm gonna interject this again since we're talking about our city's finest. I mean, from the parade to now, like every encounter that I've had that has been massive amounts of people management, our law enforcement in the city of Philadelphia has been top notch. Thank you. Doing a great job.
Doing
Keep
a
it up.
fantastic job. We greatly appreciate
Shout
you.
out to them.
Now, the one thing that I will call out with this particular race that we were anticipating was security.
Yes.
And there were no security like getting into the corrals. When you do the Philadelphia Marathon, they make you go through metal detectors.
Yes.
As they take it, I guess maybe it's, I don't
the
know if
Boston thing, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know why that wouldn't apply to a 10-mile race with 40,000
it's the
people.
biggest 10 miler in the country, but absolutely no security whatsoever to get in. So, it just,
Well, when we were doing, which I think we've talked about last week, leading up to this, we kept talking about kind of being worried about security in the backpack and the bottle and all of that. So I had gotten Dave. I'm like, okay, Dave, you must meet us at mile 1.
At the mile 1 marker.
Yes, because I didn't want to be worried about my camel pack being confiscated, losing our bottle of wine.
Because it says everywhere that you can't go and wear backpacks.
Yeah, including hydration packs. It does say that. Dave met us at mile 1 with the bag. Well, they tried to meet us at 1.1 or so. And he's like, oh, we're right across. You can walk. We're just a little beyond. And I'm like, oh,
no, you must be at mile 1 marker. I texted Jim and I'm like, dude, you need to be at the mile 1 marker. Because Dave was with Jim and with Connor's dad, Rich.
Yeah. And I had a visual. There was a vision. It had to be at every single marker. I was not going to walk.
Yeah, because the whole thing was like we had the bottle of wine and we had our little teeny tiny glasses. And we're pouring the wine and we get the mile marker behind us. Yes. Anyway, that was the goal.
Yes, you know my vision. You know the vision.
I had it.
You got it.
I had it.
Anyway, but they're lovely because Dave did not. I don't even think they wanted to come, either of them.
Jim definitely didn't want to come.
Rich did because supporting Connor.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rich.
Yes, you're a good dad, Rich.
Yeah. Our husbands are like, it's just 10 miles.
I know. Jim's like, damn it. Dave's going, damn you, Dave.
Yeah. No, he wasn't getting out of it.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, not a lot of security, many hydration packs. It was fine.
Yes. And so when we met up with Dave and Jim and Rich at the mile marker wine, the great thing was that the bottle of wine was already uncorked.
Yes, I uncorked it in the morning
prior
to leaving.
So when we got to the mile marker, we hadn't gotten down our system yet of like who's pouring, who's videoing, how are we doing all of this and so forth. So mile 1, when
it was clunky.
It was a little clunky. But the one thing that happened was and love my husband, he was like, well, gosh, you're going to go and carry this bottle of wine in your hydration pack. So I really need to make sure that the cork
is jammed in
there. Bottle really tight so it doesn't leak. And it didn't leak by mile 2.
No.
We got to the mile 2 marker and I was like, Lorri, I can't open up the bottle. She's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't know. I can't pull the cork out of the bottle. Oh my God, what are we gonna do?
We're in a blind panic at mile 2.
I had my teeth on it. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna break it in half. Like, you worked on it. I think I finally got it open.
Yeah, you put your shirt around it.
Because I got it so wet because of my teeth. Like if anybody had taken a video of us doing that, like it's like, what's wrong with these two?
Like, did they have that much of an alcoholic
Well, and then
They need to have wine
and then
that
there were two
bad?
guys, and then there were two guys who were a little further ahead of us. You're like, maybe we should ask them. And I'm like, and in my mind, what do you think I was saying?
You don't need a
You don't need a dick to open up a bottle of wine.
I'm like, she's not gonna ask.
So we got it open though. We got it
Yes.
open. The panic settled, and
Yeah, and then we got into our routine. You grabbed the bottle. I fumbled and fiddled around until I
you
get
pulled out the glasses. I
I
poured the glasses. I poured into the glasses.
turned around backwards.
And then I put the cork back in, or I had the cork in my mouth, and then I pulled out my phone, and then we would do our toast, and then we would put the glasses away and move on to the next mile.
And we have to say that the miles go by very quickly
It
when
was
you're having a shot of wine
I'm
every
telling
mile.
you, it was almost like every mile was mile 20.
It was a celebration. It was like mile 1, yay! Mile 2, yay! And then by mile 8, you're like, yeah!
I think in the video, like some of the expressions on my face, it was like, because that wine got like juggled up like so much because from you
It was
running.
very well aerated.
Oh my God. By the time I opened it up at like mile 3, like the bubbles that were inside of the wine bottle, I was like, dude, this is like getting jostled around. And thank you very much for being the person that carried the wine the entire time.
It was not a problem, and I thought I might have gotten chafed on my back. I did, in fact, not.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Good.
It
No
was all
chafing.
good.
No
No
chafing
chafing.
and carrying a bottle of wine is
Ideal.
is-
I'd never run with a. So rule number 1 about running a marathon is that you should never use any new gear on race day
No, ever.
because it's another mile. Rule number 1.
Yes.
But no new shoes, no new gear. So throw a new pack on. I've never ran with before. I've
Yeah.
only hiked with.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
And normally, like I said earlier, the temperature that we experienced yesterday, normally we would both be in tank tops. But then Lorri went and proclaimed, I'm really glad I'm not wearing a tank top today because I probably would have been chafed.
Yes.
Because of wearing the hydration pack.
Can I also explain something about our friendship?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So
Oh God, what are you going to say?
we're yin and yang. So there are various times where we kind of have a disagreement, but it's always kind of like this quiet, passive-aggressive disagreement that we don't really discuss out loud. It just kind of is this weird undercurrent for a few
It's
days.
just there. It's just
Like,
there.
Sometimes it's training runs. We need to start at 4. No, we don't. That's me. I want to start early. Get it done. It's going to be hot. No, we'll be fine.
No. You'll go and say, oh, so what time do you want to run on Saturday?
Oh,
and I'll be like 5:30, 6. And you're like, well, it's going to be hot out. And you already have a fucking time in your head. And I'm just like, well, let's run it. I really want to run at 4. Well, why didn't you just say that in the first place? Okay, sorry. I'm interrupting you. Go
Yes,
ahead.
but inevitably you'll put your foot down. You're like, 5:30 is fine. I'm like, fine. And then we get to the hot section of the trail, and I know she's over there blazing like a motherfucker. And I'm like, we're running through this shit
And then
because
I'm
she
not
wanted
gonna
to
say
start later.
Anything. And then I don't say anything. We did have one run like that.
Yeah, we did. So we have like these weird moments. So like she got our merch together, which she's awesome at. She is our merch lady. She knows what she's doing. In the past, it is cold and rainy
Right.
at the Broad Street run. So
Right.
when she shows me a t-shirt, which you've heard us say multiple times, we don't really wear t-shirts when we're running. I'm like, that should be great because if it's cold, we can put a long sleeve underneath of it because I'm thinking colder, not
It's
hotter.
always cold during the Broad Street runs.
So then leading up to the race, I'm seeing all these 70s and 80s and I'm starting to panic because we're wearing black t-shirts and I'm like, oh my God, I'm
We're going to die.
So then I order some merch that doesn't look as good as hers. They're gray tank tops. The logo doesn't pop as much, all of that, but it's comfy as hell and it's a
It is
tank top.
comfy. It is comfy.
And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh God, I don't know if I can do a black t-shirt. I don't know. So, but I can't communicate this to her because I know she really wants us to wear the black and she doesn't like the gray. I already know this.
Because it was
without her-
advertising.
Yeah, because of everything. And she knows that theoretically, if it's hot, I desperately want to wear the tank top.
I knew
she
that.
knows that.
I knew that.
So I'm like, okay, but I'm going to be the friend and I'm going to wear the damn tank. I'm going to wear the t-shirt. So we wear the t-shirt. So we're on Broad Street. We're almost at City Hall. And Laura this is why we're good friends. Laura goes, full disclosure, it's a little warm for these t-shirts. I wish we had a tank top.
I was like, no, and I said, I will make sure that I order us some like good tank tops next go
and
around.
I knew that was her way of kind of acknowledging that the black was like, she knew where I was coming from. Like that was her way. And then my way of appeasing her was, you know what? If I was wearing a tank top, this backpack would have chafed me, so I'm kind of grateful for the t-shirt.
We're like even.
Yeah.
We were even.
Like we have our dysfunctional ways of working through when there's like a weird tension sometimes.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Because I love you and I respect you.
I love you too, man.
I said to Maggie, I'm like, that's what good friendship looks
Absolutely.
like.
Absolutely.
Because you can, you can have your stance, but you also can say, you know what, it made sense. You're right.
Yeah.
You know?
No. It's all good. But the shirts popped and people like make comments.
They look great.
And our husbands were wearing them as well.
Yeah.
Which was great because people were asking about them. We ate lunch, after brunch after the race, and one of the wait staff was asking us about it.
I think we should have a black tank top too.
Yeah,
white and black.
White and black.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay.
I'm on it. I was looking up that stuff
Of course
today as
you
well. So now the really nice thing about the Broad Street run is that the mile markers are very, very well marked.
Yes.
They have huge flags that reflect whatever the mile marker is. You can see them coming. And unlike other races where we're like, oh my god, like did we pass the mile marker? Like did they
were on, because Broad Street is so broad, they actually had a flag up on each side of the road too, which was very nice.
Yeah. And the other interesting thing about Broad Street is that when people say, oh, the entire race is downhill,
Lies.
it's a crock of shit.
Lies.
It is a crock of shit.
Theoretically, when you look at the elevation chart, there is an overall downhill grade.
Yes. But in the very beginning of the race, when you go from the start to City Hall, there are actually at least 3 different inclines that you hit.
I would say that
they're gentle. They're very gentle.
They're gentle.
But they are uphill. But they're long.
It's a mild spicy.
Yeah.
It's not a hot.
But I think in your mind, if you're anticipating a downhill run the entire time, it's a lie. It's a lie. Don't listen to your friends if they're telling you it's all downhill. It's bullshit. There are little inclines along the Broad Street run.
For sure.
Yes. All right. So,
but we still haven't talked about baby wipes.
I know. So that I was going to actually get to that. So we mentioned that there weren't a lot of porta-johns along the race, and leading up to us getting into our corral in the morning, I was having some tummy issues as well. And so I knew at some point in time when you and I like hopped the fence and you were going to hit the porta-john, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to the bathroom again. And the option for me to poop in public, I'm like, nope, I'm not going to do that. Like I have a limit. I just have a limit. I'll poop in the woods when I'm hiking, but I will not poop in public. Like just like I'll just pee. I'm classy that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it became this little mental thing with me where I'm like, okay, just need to go and put it away.
Yeah.
Just not think about it. And I kept saying to you, next porta-john, but then it would go away again. Rule number 1, if you feel like you have to go to the bathroom and it goes away, it's still there.
It will come back.
It will come back. So use the opportunity when you do see a porta-john to actually utilize it. I did not go and do that. So at some point in time, and I can't remember what mile marker we were at. 6 or 7.
6 or 7-ish, like somewhere in that zone. I feel like 6, 7. I think you finally went maybe around 8.
Yeah. So found a porta-johns, or found a couple that were open and didn't have a line, because the ones that we saw earlier in the race had like a ton of lines. And so saw them without a line and went into 2 of them and absolutely 0 toilet paper left in them. And I'm like, yeah, this is not good. Now, when we normally do our marathons, I always have extra toilet paper with me. I get enough of a surplus where it's at least like a 2-bathroom surplus that I keep in a Ziploc bag, and I always keep it in my water water bottle pouch.
Yep.
Because I had like cleaned out stuff. We haven't run in a while. I'm like, it's only 10 miles. Rookie mistake. Did not go and have my extra TP in my water bottle with me. So I was without wipes.
Yeah, and she seemed to be stressing. Like I could read her face, and then the way we operate is we start going into, okay, what can we do about this?
Yes.
And so I'm sitting there going, what can we do about this? Like, where can I find toilet paper? I went up, they had an aid station or like a jam zone with people cheering. And I walked up to them. I'm like, do you guys have any napkins?
Napkins, tissues,
food, anything. They had nothing. And so then like we walked a little bit further down.
It wasn't that much further down the road.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Moms have baby wipes. There's strollers all over the course. Let's just go to a mom. They'll have baby wipes.
So Lori goes over to this mom who has a stroller, and she's like, "My friend has to go to the bathroom. There's no toilet paper. Can we borrow?" No, you said can we get some wipes? You didn't say borrow. Can we get some wipes? And she's like, "Oh my gosh!" She's like frantically and she's like just whipping like wipe after wipe after wipe. I think I got like 3 wipes, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." And and then
we got fresh and clean the rest of the way.
I was fresh and clean. But again, a Philadelphia's finest. You and I went to these porta-johns, and we both had to go at the same time.
Yep.
And we usually, when we go to a porta-john, we'll leave our stuff outside of the porta-john. You don't want to bring your water bottle into a porta-john. That's just that is
gross.
Rule number 1. And we have a lot of rule number 1s. And so Lori, I guess when you hopped in, there was a cop that was standing there, and you had asked him to go and watch our stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, do you mind just watching this really quickly? He was like, of course not.
Yeah.
He's so sweet. And then I guess he had to use the porta-john too, because
Yes.
as soon as we were out, he went in.
He went right in after me. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. but so thank you to the absolutely wonderful woman that gave me the baby wipes, because my gosh, I didn't realize how bad I was feeling up until that point.
Yes. Oh, yes. Also, speaking of succession of porta-johns, this got me thinking about the parking situation.
Oh, yeah.
So if you do go down to the stadiums and you are parking, decide to choose that. I would park on the side of the Wells Fargo Center that is closest to the Lincoln Financial Field. We parked, which was fabulous for getting there. We parked all the way on the other side because we were right next to porta-johns, which were wonderful, and close to the NRG station. But we sat waiting to exit that lot.
Right, for like an hour.
Yeah, at least an hour. So it's difficult to get out of that area. Easy to get in, hard to get out. So be mindful of where you park.
Yes.
And the reason why that reminded me of that is because I used the porta-john there, and when I came out, Connor had to go in after me, and I just laughed because I thought that was funny. I'm like, I'm so sorry, man.
But those porta-johns were pretty clean. So
they were. It was early in the day.
Yeah. As a runner, like you get to that point where you've done so many races, and you just have.
Oh yeah,
you have very, very little standards when it comes to porta-johns. It's better than going to the bathroom outside. So that's always unless you're in Rome, and we'll get to that in many, many episodes later.
Yeah, down the
Rome
road.
was bad. It was bad. Very, very bad. So I think the other thing that we enjoyed was just kind of seeing some of the cool architecture that the Broad Street Run offers. It's, again, like I said earlier, a lot of residential areas, but there's some really cool, there was a cool temple and a couple of cool churches.
Yes.
Just some really iconic, old
historic
buildings.
I mean, you're not in Old City, so you don't see a lot of that, but you run by the Ritz-Carlton and the University of the Arts and the...
and you run around City Hall.
The Union League?
Yes, the Union League.
The Union League building is gorgeous.
Yes. Now, did you know that when they first started doing the Broad Street Run 46 years ago, believe
That's
that?
crazy.
46 years ago.
Is that 1980?
1980. The first 2 years, they actually ran right through the middle of City Hall. So they have like the corridor. And then it just started growing and growing.
Yeah.
But the first race for Broad Street had
Like 1,500 people.
1,500, yeah,
Plus-
1,500 people,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. And now they have 40,000 people. So it's grown a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
I have such mixed feelings about it. Like I love it. Sorta. I love 10 miles felt great.
Yeah, no, it totally felt.
And I love Broad Street.
So I don't know if it was necessarily the race or just that you and I were really freaking excited about going and getting back out and racing. I totally attribute that because I swear if you fuckers ask me to go and do Broad Street again, I'm gonna say no.
That's what
Like
she
no,
said.
I know.
She
God.
said that yesterday.
I did. I said it a lot. So yeah, I would be a no on Broad Street again.
We
Not
do
that
have
I
this on video, so we'll see.
I know they're gonna drum it up like next year and the year after and the year after, and I'm gonna be like,
not
no.
necessarily. If we find like a decent, May marathon somewhere.
Yeah, I would do a May marathon, but just not Broad Street.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and then the as far as the swag, I mean, we got these shirts.
I think we're both a little like disgruntled with Blue Cross Blue Shield or whoever designed this.
Yeah, it's really really prominent with
Like
the
brand
sponsor.
heavy.
Way too brands heavy. It says in very small letters across the top, Independence Blue Cross the Broad Street Run, but then it has like IBX across the chest with like the city hall and like some things. It's got like iconic stuff in the logo.
Yeah.
I just don't like how big IBX is.
I wonder if they're trying to make IBX stand for the Broad Street Run. Like, you know what I mean? Like that those two things become interchangeable.
Yeah.
But I'd rather like Broad Street Run be more forward.
Yeah, it's definitely. I know we're both looking at each other's boobs right now because it's like yeah. I mean, I have to pull my shirt out a little bit more because you can't see mine as much.
I was having a moment and I thought I needed a large. I did not need a large.
No. I mean,
but I was feeling like a large when I signed up for this.
Yeah, I mean the shirts are kind of stretchy, and then
I like the medals.
The medals
good.
are nice. I mean, they're not huge. They're maybe about 3 inches in diameter.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of runners running right by City Hall, which is nice.
Yeah, and that's usually what they have on their medals.
And at least like it does say Independence on it, but it's definitely more Broad Street Run 10 miler than it is.
Yes,
the logo.
it's much more prominent on the
shirts.
Yeah, on the shirts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, would I run it again? Yeah, I'd run it again.
No, you just said you wouldn't.
But I
wouldn't.
But I don't want to run it again. I choose not to. But would I run it again? Yes, but I choose not to.
Like, would you rather have been running locally 10 miles? Or
No.
just go get a medal
No,
for it?
because if it means that part of our training run for Medoc gets us like running a 10 miler, but we get to run a race and get some swag and some medals on it. Or like, yeah, we're bling whores. So Lorri, would you run it again?
I would.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
I don't think it'll be prominent in the front of my mind, like, oh, I need to rearrange my schedule to run Broad Street.
Yeah.
But if I am available and I need to run anyway, but do you just automatically put in, with it being a lottery, it makes it trickier.
Yeah, you got to commit to it. Like, just know that you're going to commit to it. So, all right. So I think it's just going to be a crapshoot of whether or not we go and we do this one again. But I'm really glad that Maggie and Connor got it out of their systems and that my daughter Maddie doesn't want to go and run it. So,
Yes.
But next week we're still kind of staying a little bit local with our races that we're covering. We are going to talk about the Baltimore Marathon.
Yes.
And that one was a blast. You actually did Baltimore twice.
I did Baltimore twice.
Yes.
You did the half.
Yes.
And I did the full.
Yep.
But that was the year she was injured.
Yep. So we will cover down on that one, and that one's a cool race.
Yeah. I'm excited to delve into that one.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, that one's going to be a good one as well. So, So hey, everybody, thank you so much for hanging with us. We've enjoyed covering the 2025 Philadelphia Broad Street Run with you all. Now go out and go make mile 20 your bitch this week.
Peace out.